Hey everyone, today is Wednesday, August 13th, 2025, and this is the International Outreach Think Tank meeting. I just want to welcome you all. Before we get going, do I have anybody that would like to read the Bivens Declaration for us? Anybody? I can pull it up. I'll pull it up on my screen, so you just have to read it.
I can if you do that. That would be wonderful. It saves me looking for it. Oh, I just found it on my computer. This is Annette on Marion.
Yeah, and I think this is my older version, but anyway, I guess it'll do. Go ahead, Annette.
Okay. This meeting is private. Bearing false witness, misrepresentation, and posting inflammatory rhetoric in public forums is forbidden and shall be addressed in an appropriate manner. To eliminate all conflict and false allegations, is there anyone in attendance at today's meeting that is a member or agent of any law enforcement agency or public agency of the federal, state, county, city, or township agents present? Additionally, are there any U.S. citizens or citizens of the United States present? Additionally, is there any U.S. citizens or citizens of the United States present? For the third time, is there any U.S. citizens or citizens of the United States present? Is there any response to the Bibbins for the first, second, and final time? No response, response. Anyone who is here under false pretenses, anyone who is working for any foreign government, including the territorial United States or municipal United States, anyone who is being coerced to be here must fully disclose their presence and purpose now or leave the premise or this conference call. If they subsequently show up as a federal witness, they are discredited for failure to disclose. Are you now or have you ever received money or personal support of any kind from the intelligence community? No response. Decision: this meeting shall proceed.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Annette.
You're very welcome.
All right. And do we have anybody who would like to start us off in a prayer or an affirmation?
I will, Tammy.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you, Kathy.
An affirmation. I make it my business to think right, feel right, and talk right. I want only good for myself and everyone else. Because I know that I am God's child, I know that I deserve the best. I see myself as God sees me. I see myself as a divine expression of the God present within me. These are the thoughts that I lift up in my consciousness, and these thoughts help uplift me and everyone in my experience. I yield.
Oh, thank you, Kathy. That was beautiful. All right, so we're going to move on to just kind of reviewing. I have it as old business, but if anybody who's on the call tonight has not been on the podcast, your state assembly has not been on the podcast, I haven't been able to spend my time and reach out to all the assemblies that I have not interviewed yet. It's just very busy on my state, but I would love if whoever's ready would love to, reach out to me. Everybody knows my email address is just my name, Tammy Ann Healy at proton.me. And just get in touch, and I'd love to help you to represent your assembly and give it a platform to help get some exposure for your assembly. And so, yeah, and if anybody, spreads the word, I think pretty much, I want to say almost everybody on this call, I've interviewed your assembly, and you may have been on the the podcast. So, if you want to just help spread the word, I would love to get all 50 states represented. I know that there's a lot of shy people that don't like being in the spotlight, and that's all fine and good. I try to get the questions ahead of time, and I try to make it relevant to your assemblies to make everybody as comfortable as possible. But I would love to, like I said, get everybody represented. So, reach out to the states. I mean, all the interviews are up on BitChute or YouTube, and I was surprised that YouTube. It's weird, Vicky. I think your podcast, for whatever reason. Maybe there was one other, but there was, for whatever reason, I don't think they liked the song I chose for your opening because of copyright issues, but it was the only podcast that was rejected for copyright issues. And so it's very interesting to me, but so if YouTube does give me a hard time, I just I put it both on BitChute and YouTube. But if YouTube kicks it off, there's always BitChute where people can see it. And so anyway, anybody have any questions or suggestions on how to reach the other state assemblies? I'm open to suggestions.
May I?
Yes, go ahead.
Do you know, can you give us any idea of who you're not able to access? So if we have friends that we know in those states, we can potentially help. Don't know how to help other than just sort of keep repeating, but if there's definitely ones that we're struggling to find, maybe there are men and women among us that would know that. If it's okay to disclose that. If it's not, it's up to you. So thank you.
Yeah, and I don't think it's not a secret, because if you go on to YouTube or BitChute and you go to the channel, the American States Assemblies podcast, you'll see all the, states that I've already interviewed. But I guess if I'm looking to New England, starting up in the right-hand corner, let's see. I think Massachusetts, Rhode Island. I just did New Hampshire was the last podcast I did. They were fun. I'd say every state that I've interviewed was fun. It was always nice to meet all the people and talk with them. I would probably say maybe even out in the West. I did, what did I did Idaho, maybe North Dakota. I haven't done North Dakota. Let's see, Mississippi, Alabama, Colorado, New Mexico, Nevada. What else? Montana.
You've done a great geography lesson, if nothing else. So well done.
Tennessee.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but I didn't know if that was something you just kind of had them off the top of your head. So that helps if we're talking to men and women on those states to be able to say, hey, I heard you haven't done this yet. So thank you for bringing it out. And I will look more closely on the YouTube channel to see who else might be missing. But yeah, that's helpful to just sort of, poke another man or woman and say, hey, did you know your assembly's not up there yet? We should get you up there. So anyway, thank you for helping with that, Tammy. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. And it's always really cute when I'm reaching out to some of the assemblies, and there's maybe one or two that want to do the podcast, but they don't want to be the only one, and they're having a hard time convincing their fellow assembly members to come on with them. But the interesting thing that I find is that they're always so nervous. A lot of people are so nervous before the interview, and then afterwards, like, oh, that wasn't bad at all. That was actually really fun. And I thought, well, you need to get the word out and let people know that it wasn't that bad, because I think everybody else feels the same way. Very nervous, not sure that they want to do it. And so anyway, it's always fun and cute to see the nervousness. And quite honestly, I'm going to be just dead honest with you guys. I mean, I never did podcasts before, so getting up in front of a camera and interviewing people was a new experience for me too. But at the time when I decided to take that endeavor on, my mind and my heart was in the place, well, nobody knows that we even exist. So we have to give a platform for all the state assemblies, because if they're all, called into general session and they all exist, We need to let everybody know that they do exist. And I and I remember thinking, I don't know what I'm going to do. I've watched other podcasts and, figured, well, I guess I could figure this out. So but in any case, it's fun. I enjoy it, and I do mean it from the bottom of my heart that I think every single one of you on your assembly is my hero anyway. I think it's the true heroes. They don't get the spotlight. They don't get the recognition. Nobody knows the hard work like the Kimberleys, what they're doing behind the scenes, the fights that they're fighting. And so for me, if I could give the platform and allow them to share their stories and share the hard work that they're doing on their assemblies, to me, that's the least I can do. And especially with even Anna, I never even thought to ask Anna to come on to the podcast just because I thought, man, that lady has done so much. She's done so much. I mean, we got to get our act together and start doing things and helping out and sharing in her work. And so, it's kind of the spirit in which I started the podcast, and so I hope to just continue on and hope to see more of our assemblies step up and want to be interviewed and give their assembly, because it's really not about us and what we say, so to speak. It's really um, representing our assemblies and giving a space for our assemblies. Um, Linda, go ahead.
Well, I'm not sure if I can raise my hand and speak, but you want to come? What state are you on?
Well, I'm on New Jersey.
You want to come to Michigan? I need a video. I need a video recording person because I'd like to make a documentary.
Oh, wow. Well, I'm not doing
I would like to
documentaries.
show people that, well, it doesn't have to be a documentary, just a recording. I want to show people the difference, because what I have going on or was going on, I would like to walk people through and show them what actually is the difference, because I have a state de facto that's retired next door to both of my properties. And I would just like to show the difference, like where their rights end is where mine begin, where my rights end, theirs begin. And that I would just like to do a documentary like that, but I don't know how. I'm not good at that. And I'm, by myself over on the east side of the state, and I have no friends or family that they all think I'm a whack job. But I would like to, do something like that to show the difference.
I think that's a great idea. And you know what you could do, Linda? I mean, this is an international call, so this is going to get uploaded to a platform for people to watch the playback. I would say start reaching out to people across state borders and asking if they want to take that project on with you and start soliciting some help. I know when I started these podcasts, I didn't want to do them on my own, and I had watched Michelle Ford's Common Law 101 class. I've seen her classes. I think they were on Rumble or BitChute. I came across it and started watching her and thought, oh, wow, she's fantastic. And she's on California. I'm going to reach out to her and see if she wants to do this with me. And she was so sweet and agreed to do them with me. Of course, she had to take a different job and didn't have the flexibility to continue, but I think that there would be people out there that would want to collaborate with you and do that with you. That's a great idea, and I encourage that.
Yeah, I would just like to do like a walkthrough so people actually can see the difference. I mean, I didn't really want to be on camera, but when your heart's in it, then all the walls fall down, and you're kind of like you, how, your walls fall down, and then you're allowed to speak, you allow yourself to speak through your heart. And that makes a world of difference. And if people would just see what's going on with all of us standing and that trying to, get our rights here, I think that makes a big difference. And I don't know how to reach out to people. I mean, I've said a lot of things and told a lot of people, but, I'm just one of those whack cases. She got arrested, whatever, it doesn't matter. You know, that's not the point of getting arrested. It's the point of making a point and standing in your truth. And so, you know, I love your videos, by the way. I seen our Michigan Assembly with you. And that was really great. I didn't watch all the different ones, but I did see them all. And I guess I should take the time and watch them all because you do a great job. I mean, it was beautiful what I seen. So you're very talented. So
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. That's really encouraging words.
yeah.
And
Well,
I,
I'll yield now and let you speak. Thank you.
you're welcome. And you know, this is for all of us to speak. So appreciate you raising your hand and adding your input. All right, so shared resources. I always like to, you know, remind everybody that our resources, because I get emails asking, hey, can you send me the link to the ICE Drive? I try to just put it on the agenda. Everything's on the agenda. The link for the Telegram page, both ICE Drive accounts for education and outreach is on there. And just, you know, thank you to everybody who's contributed with all the material that's been uploaded there. And I have both of the channels for the podcasts. I have the YouTube channel for the 1776 Union, and that's where Louise actually uploads these playbacks on that channel. And then I also have on the agenda the Claim Your Inheritance website, and just want to say a big bravo to the video. It's excellent. When we have people coming into our assembly asking questions, I actually give them the link to that in an email so that they could click on it and watch it. It's just so well done with as far as the details included in it that explains the fraud, you know, and what we're dealing with and why we're, you know, what, you know, Saint Germain Trust is and the Davila family. And so, you know, I send them that. It's 30 minutes and, you know, Anna edited it. So it's great. So that's all I have for our resources down there. And I also just wanted to mention, you know, that the family reunion is going to be September 3rd through the 7th in Put-in Bay, Ohio. Dan and I are going, and we're looking forward to seeing everybody again. You know, it was such a blast last year. I know Tanya, Vicky, who else on the call was there? I don't think anybody else, but there was a whole bunch of people that ended up showing up, and it was great to meet people from Massachusetts and New Hampshire, Georgia. Of course, Michelle came in from California. I think she traveled the furthest. And of course all the people from Ohio, Lisa and Sue and Tom and you know just all those people. Just it was such a beautiful experience, and so I know we're looking forward to it. Um, and that's it. Before I go on to new business, anybody have anything else they want to add?
Um, Oh, my mic's on. Hi, Tammy, Denise. Hi, everybody.
Hey, Denise.
We're putting together some fresh handbooks. If you've got anything you'd like to contribute to the handbook and the way of forms, guidelines, procedures, anything you found helpful over the years. There's some good information coming out about the sheriffs. We have some great training even on debt remedy and some good resources for that. But if you can just send it my way, I've got my email in the chat, americanfirst@fastmail.com. And also Annette is collecting information and she's working on the coroner's handbook and like the process of declaring an office dead because the coroner is the highest peacekeeper if there is no sheriff. And we're hoping to get as much advocacy behind the sheriffs as we can. So that's it for me.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you for bringing that to our attention here. I know that there was maybe Louise, you can chime in here. There was a woman, I think her name was Nikki, that also created a handbook. I think it's uploaded to the ICE Drive.
Okay.
I know I
I'll
shared
look.
it. I know I shared it because it was given to me to share with the International Outreach Think Tank as a resource. And I would almost venture to say that you could probably use, you know, maybe some of the material in there as well and just combine stuff. But that's beautiful. So when you are done with creating this handbook, where do you plan to share it, and where people are you, you know, people to grab it? Where are you gonna have that available?
Well, there'll be a website that's central where everyone can grab it. Louise will be announcing that. It's going to be part of the Resurgence County project. And then additionally, I've given Stand Up, Karen at Stand Up. She has a number of forms, like, you know how an attorney, they go to their forms and pleadings handbook, right? Well, we're going to have our own set of common law, you know, General Assembly forms. I have a common law lien in there that I know works. I just got a bunch of debt remedy done here for my car. I stopped a smart meter. So, you know, we're having some successes, and the more successes that we can report, the better we can build our assemblies and our common law communities.
Yeah. And remind me again, Denise, what state are you on?
I'm on Nevada.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Okay, beautiful. Awesome. It's such great work. Nice. Annette
Thanks.
has her hand up. Did you yield, Denise?
Yes.
Okay. Annette, go ahead. Annette, can you mute yourself? You're still muted.
Oh, crap. Sorry about that. I want to thank Denise as well. She's always makes herself available, always sending us a ton of stuff, and I do appreciate it so much. On our county, we have a few handbooks being made, as well as Angie is literally working her tail off to create a really good recorder handbook. And she is being very precise and very accurate. So it is going to be very helpful for all of those who are going to have stand up or don't have stand up, so that they can feel confident that those documents are all good. I love coming on your meetings. It's such
I can't get anything, nothing.
a fresh air. It's a breath of fresh air compared to some of the state meetings. So thank you very much. I also wanted to mention that we are at no charge helping any state or county that wants to do their website, create a website, create your seal or logo, whatever you want to call it. Some say seal, some say logo. So that is always available to anyone as well. And I've included in the chat Marion County Assembly. Sometimes it's daunting, but it's actually, if you've got someone that has, you know, some experience on a computer, we can literally create a website pretty fast. So you can check out Marion's if you want. And I want to thank you for making this platform available to all of us. And you're always smiling and happy and eager to bring us into all of this knowledge. So thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. And I love your energy. And I love the fact that you are offering to help people with website development, because I think that that is, IT is probably one of the most needed um, areas on all of our assemblies right now. You know, because when you think about it, people go to the website looking for information, right? If you're a legitimate organization and you don't have a website, then it's kind of hard to take you seriously, because that's the day and age in which we live. I'm going to reach out to you, Annette, because I know on New Jersey, we're looking for some different things to add to our website, and I, you know, just want to pick your brain. But thank you for offering that, and hopefully people who are listening and watching the playback will hear that and reach out to you. I know Annette has put, I think, your website in the chat, right?
And I should mention, thank you very much, Louise, for helping me go through it and make sure that everything is perfect and correct. And I always have to give you credit for all of that too.
Yeah, Louise is great. She's Louise is great at attention to detail. And she wants to make sure she's getting everything correct, and that the processes are done, you know, professionally, and, you know, correctly. So thank you, Louise. I agree with Annette on that. I just want to let the people that are watching the playback. So Denise's email address is americanfirst@fastmail.com. And then Annette shared her website. It's Marion, MARION, County, Florida, gov.land. I love that. All right. I know. So Louise asked to get to her stuff first because she has another meeting to get to. Darren, you have your hand up. Did you have something quick you want to say?
I can come back to it. It was just to let you know that we've had a guy come forward offering a whole heap of a suite of IT products for the assemblies.
Wow.
So I'll go through that after Louise has had her bit.
Beautiful, because that's definitely information we want to hear. So, all right, Louise, you have the floor.
Thank you, Tammy. Hello, everybody. I'm going to share my screen here real quick. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Yes. All right, so I'm going to go over some updates here, and I'll take your questions here after I finish my updates. To update on our launch, July 1st, we're now in the boots on the ground execution phase, where all the assemblies are taking all the information that we put together in the American government's Resurgence project, the materials, the blueprint, the strategies. What we are doing now is going out there and executing it all. On the strategy task force, I've transitioned to that phase of boots on the ground. So I'm no longer having strategy task force meetings, which is the think tank aspect of developing the project itself. Since we've completed that part and went ahead and launched, I am in the active execution phase. And this is where I've created what I call the Resurgence Coordination Teams meetings. So now the strategy task force meetings are no longer. Now we're having Resurgence Coordination Teams meeting. And it's happening once a month as opposed to every 2 weeks, like the strategy task force was. So the model counties will be the inertia behind us getting the Resurgence Coordination Teams meeting organized and supporting all of the counties on standing up their government in their county. So standing up their county assemblies in their counties. You'll see the link here. I created a new playlist for where all these meetings will be. That's the link for it. It's on the Peacekeeping Task Force website, YouTube channel, and the Resurgence Coordination Team. So I just had the first meeting at that link. What a Resurgence Coordination Team is, it's composed of these groups of officers in from each state. So to explain, a coordination team comprises of the county assembly outreach chair, or the county assembly organizer or coordinator, or all of them, if you want to be all of them present. But the leading county assembly person on that county, then the state assembly chair is part of the coordination team, because we have to coordinate our state assemblies and our county assembly governments as we present ourselves as the government to the American public. And in the design for the Resurgence project, in the execution part, ideally, we would like to have 2 public meetings. The first public meeting where you present your state assembly government and the county assembly government at that meeting to the public, and you'll have a specific message at that time. Then the follow-up meeting, as that state assembly moves to the next county, that same county remains there and does a second meeting where that county assembly government now is presenting itself as a support to help the townspeople organize the missing American town. That is what we've realized in the developmental think tank part of this Resurgence project. We realized that there's another layer of government we actually have to reconstruct in our whole agenda here, or endeavor, if we don't like that word agenda. In this whole endeavor, there is a level of government called the American town that needs to be reconstructed. So the state assembly and the county assembly, those offices, part of this coordination team. Then the county reeve, the sheriff. When we do that first public meeting, one of the things we've put as a part of the blueprint of what you discuss at that first public meeting is the need to have a county sheriff in your counties. Since that's the head office, or the highest office in our government, and it's the face of our peace. We're going to need that face of peacekeeping as we're telling the American public what has happened and what they need to do to be part of the correction of what has happened, so we can minimize that chance of unrest, civil unrest, or you might want to say civil war. We have to minimize the chance of that. So the county sheriff is one of the officers that we're going to promote as we're doing our public meetings. And then the PKTF liaison, either the county liaison or the state liaison, these officers that's in yellow are the primary ones that's going to be part or present, I should say, at these meetings, because most of the assemblies have these officers. The other two officers, the militia commander and the deputy continental marshal, which should also be part of this team coordinating the efforts because of the 3 phases. Each one has a part to play. Well, most assemblies don't have a militia commander or a deputy continental marshal, so we have to build up to that. So the Resurgence Coordination Teams that's going to be meeting once a month, we are asking that these particular officers come to those meetings. So what we're looking at is all of the counties present in one state, and that state's outreach committee chair present to support all of those counties as we're coordinating the effort of how we're going to execute this in our public meetings. So that's what I'm moving to there in the Model Counties initiative. They're going to help try to talk across the lines, across the borders, to try to find those assemblies who like to have this type of support. So you might want to be a model county for your state, or you might not want to be a model county for your state. You just want to be a county assembly that's organizing yourself and getting your own assembly established. So this effort here in the coordination teams meetings is for all of the counties. Here is the link for our next meeting, September 14th. It will be a recurring session until we shift again. We're shifting we will shift as we go along, as we develop and get boots on the ground and execute things to see how things are moving. I'm also going to be transitioning from interim reports to pulse reports. And what that means, on the strategy task force, every 2 weeks, in between sessions, I would write a document that I send out to everybody called an interim report, where I will give updates of all the communication, well, not all the communications, but updates of the communications that I've had back and forth throughout the weeks with the strategy task force, ideas and constructive criticisms and all that kind of thing. Communications with Anna, communications with the PKTF would be in that interim report. Well, now, since the think tank part, the strategy task force part is retired and we're moving into the execution part, I like to get into what I'm calling pulse reports. That's just the name I came up with for right now. It might be called Resurgence Pulse Reports, where I want to talk about on the ground happenings, how things are happening in Colorado, or how things are happening in Illinois. When they had the public meeting, what happened, or what strategy was being utilized that maybe didn't work very well, or somebody came up with some more ideas where we can pivot, or an angle that came to someone's mind, say, hey, I was out doing this, and they mentioned that we should talk to this person that we may not have thought about already. So that's what the pulse reports would be about. And also the mindset that we need to have. I want to talk more about having the mindset of a government, the things that we need to be thinking about, talking about how we're going to nationalize the corporations, how we're going to get U.S. citizens declared as American state nationals. How are we going to have that conversation? That type of thing, I want to start just talking about it. So that's the other shift that I'm making there with the pulse reports. This diagram I presented at the last model counties meeting, I wanted to present it here because this diagram gives the imagery or the picture representation of what we really have to do, and how we're interdependent, how the jurisdictions, what did I call it? Jurisdiction interdependence graphic. In this graphic, I'm showing how the county assembly is in the middle. The county assembly is pivotal, and they have to reach out toward their state assembly and help with that support of reconstructing their state assembly. And they have to reach into their communities in those towns and help the townspeople reconstruct that missing American town. So the county assembly is in the middle, touching these two jurisdictions, including their own. So this is the job that the county assembly, that I see that the county assembly has. And that's how I'm approaching this, where I'm trying to help support the county assembly and seeing and helping them to see the role that they play in getting our American government reconstructed. Because the whole entirety of this, the state assembly, the county assembly, and the American town is our American government. Yes, Tammy?
Yeah, so I'm just curious, then is the government the soil jurisdiction?
The town and the county would be soil jurisdiction. As you pass from the international jurisdiction into the county, everything after that, even the town, is soil.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you. I yield.
Now, the documents that I shared that I think you all might appreciate are some of the flow chart, the flow chart, the 4 pillars chart, the American government's chart. I put it in the chat if you all want to download that. Gives us some imagery of how the government structure, the state assembly government structure, how I viewed it, the 4 pillars of the state assembly, and then the 2 pillars of the county assembly government. You can download that. I will be using that organization to help try to assist the state assemblies, the county assemblies in their coordination efforts and helping to reconstruct the American government on those counties. Yes, Linda?
I'm sorry. You're great. I don't see it in the chat.
Tammy, could you put those in the chat for me?
You have to scroll up, Linda. It's up there.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, you just have to scroll up. It was shared at 7:35 p.m.
Oh, probably before I got here.
Yeah, if it was before she got here, anybody got here, they won't see it.
I forget about that. I'm sorry for being late. I have one other question for you too. Is I noticed that in the Kevin Annette book that Anna had us, had put on one of her documents about the towns. So that's very great. I'm glad you found that. Thank you so much for all the beautiful work you do.
Thank you, Linda. We have to look that up because I didn't know about Kevin's work. Somebody had mentioned
it's just a small little book. It's like 85 pages, and it's called Governing Ourselves, a Handbook on Personal, Political, and Spiritual Sovereignty. And he talks about the towns in here, because I'm sure that's where I got it from, was this little book. And Anna has it, where Gibson passed away.
Mm-hmm.
Then she has a article on Kevin. So it's right there, okay? So okay. Find it that way. Thank you. I yield.
Thank you, Linda.
Linda, are you talking about Kevin Annette?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
I keep messing up their names because I'm looking for an Arnett, and it wasn't Arnett. It was a different name. And so I'm messing up all these names because they're all similar. So yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Thank you.
All right.
Now, in the other document, interested in Model Counties document, I put that in the chat. So any of you counties out there who want to serve the serve us as a model county. I put that document in there so you'll know what the model counties are, what they are going to be doing. They're the ones that's going to be spearheading getting all the counties in your state the support that you need to stand your assembly government. That's what a model county is doing. Not all counties want to take on that responsibility. That's a lot of responsibility. But you might just, so if you are interested in that, you can grab that in the chat and send me an email, and I can walk you through how to be recognized as that model county. If you don't want it to be the model county and you just, you maybe just one person, just want to just get your county assembly organized and established, come to the meeting. It's for you too. You don't have to be part of the big grandiose work that has to be done. If you just simply want to get your community, your county government established, we're there to support you too. So that's all the documents that I shared in that first coordination teams meeting, and I put in the chat there for you. The last thing is broadcasting our message execution. That's phases 4 and 5. So still waiting on Anna about the American government website. I shared with you all last meeting what that proposal was. We're still finalizing the American government library. And then the news blog, I had a meeting with the blogger this past maybe 2 weeks ago. And someone has volunteered to do the news blogging. Now, every county assembly needs to have a person, a journalist or a media person who wants to tell the story of how your county is doing. Maybe not just one person, maybe 2 people, maybe whoever it is you choose. We would like to have that news so we can publish it for the benefit of everybody, and showing what our reconstruction efforts are, what they are, and how our resurgence is happening with boots on the ground. And the PKTF has also started newsletter publications where they will also syndicate that type of newsworthy information. So if you have any articles that you want for us to publish in our newsletter publications, I think there's 3 or 4 of them, send them to me. I will send them over to Joe, and we will get those published there for you too. So that's what's happening with phases 4 and 5. We're trying to get those aspects lined up and get them online. We do have someone who's volunteered their server to house all of this information for phases 4 and 5 that I'm working with, and hopefully we'll get this aspect online and launched too here soon. Any questions? All right.
I can't think of any, but I'm still processing the information, and I want to review all the documents. Louise, when are you, I guess my one question is when are you going to have, you said you're going to have these meetings to review all this stuff once a month. Will you be also updating us on this meeting once a month on here?
Yeah, I will come and update you here and take any questions that people may have.
Okay. And when will those other meetings be that you're going to have?
So the next one is September 14th.
What day does that fall on?
That's a Sunday.
Sunday. Okay.
Mhm.
All righty.
It'll be once a month for those meetings. In between those meetings, I hope to get invited to some of those model counties meeting where they're meeting with all the counties, so I can get all the information of how that's going. Because I'm trying to pull away from having so many meetings, because I want you to go out there and do the work. I want to talk about it. I want you to go do it.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So I don't want to tie up people's time, with just talking.
Yeah. Linda's got her hand up. Go ahead, Linda.
What state are you on?
Illinois.
Oh, you are Illinois, so you're right next to us, Michigan. Okay. So you were showing the town and the county and the state. So, where would you start from there to get the town? You'd have to do the county first before the town?
Yes.
Okay,
Mhm.
thank you.
You're welcome, Linda. Annette?
Thank you. I'll try not to take too much of your time again. So what do we do if, and this is not just me, but quite a few people I've been talking to over the last couple days on the counties, if your state isn't really cooperative with the peacekeeping task force, they say, well, we don't need them. They don't get to boss us around, all that negativity. What are we going to do in a case like that? And I'm asking for not just myself.
Yes. So this, what all that the PKTF does, this is one of the outreach projects that's coming under the umbrella of the PKTF. Anything that we offer is a service to the assemblies. They can take advantage of the services, or they cannot take advantage of the services. They have all prerogative to do that. So if the state assembly would like to be a part of the Resurgence project and coordinate with their counties, because this is where the outreach is going. That's how the project is set up. If they want to be a part, then they just be a part. And the counties, of course, you accept them as being a part. But if the state assemblies don't want to be a part, you're your own government. I mean, the county assembly doesn't have to get permission from the state to do what they're doing. You just go do it without them,
Thank you. I bet you got a smile out of Denise on that one. I really appreciate you answering that, because we have 10 counties that are gung-ho, and unless we can get a new chair, a general chair in that is a little more cooperative, we are running into the horns of this system that is saying, oh, we don't need them, the old boys club kind of thing. But we do have an ambitious group of counties that are really excited, and maybe we can show by example, I guess, that they need to rethink it. And any other advice?
Well, we have to think about this. The counties are sovereign, and their government, they're in the soil jurisdiction. The International State Assembly is sovereign in the international state jurisdiction. So, and everybody's at different levels of progression. Like your mindsets are different. You're moving at different paces. Some people have more officers than other people. And in the International State Assembly, they're focusing on seating those assemblies. And that's what they've been focusing on. They may think that doing county assemblies is a distraction or deterrent, or that's what I know, because I heard someone say that we have to allow them to have that perspective. So in this project is room for those people who have a difference of perspective, but I don't want any one person to be held back from any other person. I don't want any assembly to be held back from any other assembly. Go at your own rate, do your own thing, know what you're responsible for, because you as a county assembly is responsible for creating and reconstructing your county assembly. You as an international state assembly is responsible for reconstructing and creating your state assembly. However you think as an assembly, however you think to get there, get there. It may not be the way that I say get there. You might have another way of getting there. Then get there. We just want to get there.
We love your pep talks, and they're awesome, and we need to hear that. Thank you so much. Now, one more question. So if we have an international liaison, in our case, a man that has incredible knowledge worldwide and would be such a benefit, he is excited. He is a little bit concerned about being targeted by the state. But I think we've got him talked into starting to do or at least an application to be a liaison for the state. But we're concerned that he's going to get railroaded. He's concerned that he's going to get railroaded. And so I just need some advice on that. We have 3 other states saying the same thing.
When you say railroaded, afraid
May
of
I,
getting killed.
Louise?
Who is that?
I'm sorry, this is Adam.
Oh, okay, Adam.
Well, as a county Revanet, you would be the one providing the shielding for your liaison. If anybody steps on his toes, then you step on theirs.
Thank you. What if it's international though? Because our national is fine. It's the international.
Well, they can come into the counties too if need be. Like if, for instance, your state is not up, but yet your county is. So if they're at the state level, they can come over into your county business if need be to do their liaison work.
Okay, so would it be better to ask him to be the county liaison?
Is he
Or
on your county?
he is. We just thought that being an international at the state level would help more counties.
Well, that's something that you guys will have to figure out through a vote, but if he's on your county, then start with your county business and work your way out once you guys figure it out.
Okay, but he can't be both, right? He has to be one or the other.
I don't recall seeing anything about a liaison being limited to either the state or just to a county. That's what I'm confused about.
So yeah, you're asking, can he wear both hats?
Yes.
I don't think we have a restriction. I'd have to ask
I don't think
Joe.
so either. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Woo, that's awesome.
And
Okay.
may I just add something to this conversation before we get into any more questions? I mean, because these are all fantastic questions and great points. I just wanted to add that, Anna has already told us that our states don't need to be seated necessarily in order for us, because we are in general session. So we don't need all these positions filled in order to send notices to the de facto and to do the work that needs to get done on our state level. And so the fact that people are thinking perhaps that the state has to be seated before any of the counties get going, I think is a misconception. And I'm rallying for, and I think that we all should be supportive. I mean, on New Jersey, I've got one of our coordinators on the call tonight, and her and I feel the same way. In fact, most of the people on our assembly feel the same way, is that if anybody on a county decided they wanted to start organizing their county and they were doing it lawfully, I think that the counties should be communicating with the state. I think that what happens is that when there's a lack of communication, a lack of transparency, that's what makes people, for whatever reason, we're in this mindset that there's infiltrators and people doing bad things and all this silly nonsense, that we have to stop and start thinking critically. Like, we have to be the self-critical thinkers and ask the right questions so we have clarity on what people's intentions are. We have to just stop assuming and presuming that everybody's here to screw somebody over or to take something over or do something in the wrong. I think, Louise, you said it beautifully when you said, everybody's going to have their own way of gathering their assemblies, their county and their state. And, it's going to look different. It's going to look different than the way Louise is laying it out there. And that's okay, as long as we get there, and so we have to come from this place of unconditional love and understanding and asking each other the right questions. I don't, sometimes I see people, when we were going through the issues on our state, we were asking questions to get clarity, and then we were told that we were being a disruption because we were asking too many questions. And it wasn't like we were asking stupid questions, just to waste somebody's time. We were asking some pretty good questions because we were needing some clarity. And I think that that's important. I would be more concerned if people weren't asking questions. You know, like we only can come to an understanding, a comprehension, if we are asking the right questions and the questions aren't coming at somebody in an accusatory manner, but in an inquisitive manner, because we're not coming to the same comprehension as somebody else. And so, I think that there needs to be a shift in mindset in our hearts. We have to think it, we have to feel it in our hearts, and we have to be able to speak it to our fellow men and women and ask the right questions, because I believe that everybody's here for good reasons and good intentions until they're proven otherwise. And how are we going to get to that conclusion that they really are an infiltrator or that they really have ill intentions if we don't ask the right questions? We're never going to find that out. And so, if everybody's showing up as their best self and everybody's coming with good intentions and they're being transparent and being good critical self thinkers, I don't see a problem in organizing our counties and moving full steam ahead, especially if you've got people like Annette and Denise who are knowledgeable, they've got high energy, they're doing a lot of work and showing up and wanting to do the right thing. And so I love that. I love the energy, and I just think that we just need to continue to foster a good environment here. And if somebody is, um, you know, um, in question for what they're doing, then just ask the question. I always say to my assembly, look, guys, if you're not at, I said I sent out the who notices. Okay. Your job is to ask me for the proof. Don't just blindly trust that I sent them. Ask me for the proof. I've got the proof, but you have to hold me accountable. And I'm not going to get mad. If I get mad because you ask me for proof, then there's something wrong there. That's when you should, the red flag should go up. If somebody's getting upset because you're holding them accountable, that's a red flag. All right. Sorry, didn't mean to rant there, but Deborah, you have your hand up. Go ahead.
Tammy, that was awesome. Thank you. So accurate and right on. Everything that's been said is really good. And I keep coming back to a very practical question in my mind as we're dealing with the people that we're exposing our government to. And that question is, if they happen to be employed by the de facto, how are we paying them if we're taking over? Where does the paycheck come from when we naturalize these governmental offices and such? Is that even an issue that we even need to address? Because I would love to know what the answer would be to give to someone who's saying, yeah, that's all fine and good, but who's going to pay me my weekly paycheck? And do I still get to keep this job?
That's a good question. And yeah, we've entertained that question too. We have different vantage points on that one. Personally, I think they are already getting paid. I think that government has already been, well, I know that government services have already been paid for. So what should be happening is everything is zeroed out on the ledger. That's what should be happening, because I credit and the donor funds already paid it. So they doubled and tripled and quadrupled, dupling with their FRNs now. And so are we going to let them continue doing that while we're saying we're the American government and we're taking our place? That's going to sound contradictory. So we have to figure out how that conversation is going to have to go. And yes, they are going to ask that question. How are we going to get paid? So how is our American government going to get the book straight? How are we going to tell those courthouses, shut down, stop double dipping, and because you're a bank and all this, and you're, stealing our credit and all this? How are we going to tell them that? How are we going to take our place in our buildings? That's not all ironed out yet, Deborah, but that conversation is on the table because it's a real conversation.
Great. I will be looking forward to that answer. I appreciate it.
And
Linda?
Linda, yep.
To add to yours, Tammy, didn't Anna say that once you stand on the land, so that means all of us, right? You populate your county. So that means every time one ASN or citizen steps onto the land for the first time, your state is populated and your county, and then it would be your town. They converted city and district are actually municipal. Okay, so whenever you hear city, that's a municipal. Whenever you hear district, that's a municipal, I believe. I'm not 100% sure, but that's my understanding of it. And so we have to convert, I think, back to towns. They're not cities anymore. So then, once you populate the state, you're populating the county, and you're populating the town you stand on. So according to, I forget who said that, Annette. And Annette was concerned about that. I would say that that liaison populates everything, right? Once they stand on the land. So there shouldn't be a conflict of interest with it. And I don't get why states are against the PTKF or whatever it's called. I'm sorry. And are you, Louise, here's my question to you. Are you actually part of the KTF? And are you the one, are you the one of the people that are looking for the 10 states? Is that part of you?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Got it. Now I get the connection. I'm sorry, I get a little lost in all this. So there was a couple questions that we had, like the public safety committees. Could you explain that a little more, what that actually is?
So the Public Safety Committee is housed in your General Assembly, and it's a standing committee, which means it never goes out of session when the General Assembly goes out of session. The Public Safety Committee stays in session. It is your communicator between your militia pillar for the state. On the county, is also a public safety committee, but it's your communication with your sheriff and his deputies and all that.
Oh, okay, that's how that goes.
So not all states have their public safety committee yet. Actually, we're just learning really that we needed to have one.
Okay, do you have literature on that? Like anything that's like in writing that we could read through to find out exactly what it is?
So do you have a liaison?
Yeah.
So
I think
all those questions go through your liaison.
Okay, but I didn't know if you had literature that we could read on what actually that public safety committee is.
Don't think we have literature yet. Like I said, people didn't know that we were supposed to have one, but now we know we're supposed to have one. So we'll probably have some literature coming out. But all those questions about public safety committee and liaisons, sheriffs, and how those offices work together, emergency dispatches and all that goes through your liaison. That's what we have them for. They're like the knowledgeable one who's supposed to have all the expert knowledge on how all those things work. And that's what we train them to do, train them for in the liaison training that they're in now.
Okay. Thank you. I just wanted to get it straight in my head, who's who and what's what. So thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome. I want to just share what I've come to comprehend as far as the people who are saying, we have to focus on our state assemblies, that we have to get them seated first. When I came to the assembly and heard that, I was like, okay, so I heard a difference in what Anna was saying, because she said you have to stand your state assembly first. And then she'll say the state assembly has all the power it has to do all the work. And then she'll say the state assembly and the states and the county populate at the same time. Then yes, your state assembly has to be stood first because we're coming out from the sea back this way. to the county. Yes, it has. So I put all that together to try to comprehend what is she trying to say, because it sounds contradictory to me. What I come to understand is there's a difference in these words. There is standing your state assembly. There is seating your state assembly. And that is, and there is full standing of your state assembly. Now, standing your state assembly was just your general assembly with all assemblies in session. They're all in general session. They're all standing. That had to come first. That is the first part that she's saying it had to come first before working on your county. All of them have to come into general session first so that we can get to the county part. By the fact that the American State National declared him or herself, that action populated both the state and the county. That's an action of an individual person. So there she's talking about how the counties and the states are being populated at the same time. But that's different than standing your state first. This is how I'm getting it. And then there's a full standing of your state assembly. That's when all the 4 pillars are all operational. That's when your state assembly can say, now we are fully standing. They're not seated yet. They are fully standing because all 4 pillars have their officers and they're functional. Now, from there, they can move to seatment. That seatment, the way I'm conceiving the seatment part now, Anna reviews you to get your full standing, but your assembly declares your seatment when you're ready. That's how I understood that to work. I'm like, so Anna don't declare you seated? I don't think Anna declares you seated. Your assembly declares you seated, but I don't think they have that process down yet. I do know that they have this process now where the federation has to review certain parts of your assembly to give you, the approval of being fully standing. So those 3 other pillars, so the General Assembly stands first. When the General Assembly is standing, you have all the power you're ever going to need. You're not going to get any more. These other 3 pillars are service pillars. The Drill Assembly, International Business Assembly, and the Militia pillar. They are services that you're providing to the American people. It doesn't give you any more power. It gives you more responsibility, more work to do, but you're already standing. Once that happens, see, and I don't think the people really getting this. You already are standing, so get busy on your counties. We did it first. You already did it first. It's done. We all 50 standing already. So let's get busy.
And
move on.
And I think too, Louise, is that we're being told, well, what we know is that where we live in our towns, right, and then within our counties is where all the everyday things happen for us and what matters to us. Like it's not going to matter to Morris County if Sussex County is going to put a warehouse in my town, and that we're all worried about traffic buildup and different things of that nature. They're not going to worry about that. That's a local county issue. And so, the state assembly isn't going to send, the de facto a letter, it's going to have to come from a county. And so there's a lot of benefits to getting your county standing. And I would just encourage people who are working to get their county standing and functional, and you're starting your meetings, is send reports to your state assembly. And maybe there's some pushback. Maybe you're getting some, negativity, whatever the case may be, some ridicule, but nonetheless, just give them the report as a courtesy that you want to keep them informed on your progress. It's not up to you how they're going to react and respond. We can only be responsible for ourselves and how we're showing up. And if we're being the accountable, responsible party, and doing what we know to be right, we can't control what other people's reactions and responses are going to be. We just have to do what we know is correct. And so, I would love it if anybody on New Jersey decided that they wanted to get their county going. And I would feel like they were hiding something if they didn't report to a state assembly, what they were doing. Because I think one of the things that comes to mind for me is, are you acting in honor or are you creating trouble? Because we do have some people that don't have the skill sets to be the ultimate peacemakers. We still have a lot of hotheads. We still have a lot of people that are angry. We still have a lot of people that are acting out of honor and using lying and cheating and stealing and manipulating to get the things that they want, because that's the matrix we're coming out of. And so if you're not communicating with your state assembly and letting them know the progress you're making and the things you're doing, that could be the things that your state may be concerned with, that you're not acting in honor and you're creating trouble and making making state nationals look bad. We had somebody in our assembly who, something was going on. I don't know what it was, specifically, but they were claiming that they were affected by MK Ultra, and they were doing all sorts of crazy things, going in front of police stations and picketing and yelling and screaming. And these are the things that we don't do as state nationals. And so if that were to happen on somebody's county and you don't know about it because this person doesn't show up to your state assembly meetings and they're just going off and doing their own thing, I'd be concerned about that. I'd be very concerned with that. And so I think it's important that there's a communication, a line of communication. You're not asking for permission, you know, but you're making sure that you're reporting back to your state assembly so that they know that you are acting in truth and honor and, following the blueprint that was set before us. So that's all I have to say. I think, Linda, you had your hand up.
Well, let Darren go first because he was on there before. I'll go after him.
Okay, perfect. Darren, go for it.
Thank you, Linda. I just wanted to let people know what we're doing on Terra Australis in terms of connecting the county assemblies with the state assembly. So we use slightly different terminology. But a few weeks ago, Anna made a point of saying that we've got to get all the focus on getting the state assemblies up. And our response to that was to have all of the county coordinators become the drivers of the state assembly. So our national coordinator team or state coordinator team stepped back, excuse me. And it was a wonderful thing. We went from a team of 12 people driving the creation of the state assembly, and recognising we haven't had elections here yet, so it's we've sort of got a bit of flexibility in how we go about it. But we now have a team of 101 people driving the state assembly. And it just so happens that they're also the team that is creating the local or county assemblies. So they're learning about the process. They're helping to create the all of the different pillars, all of the functions and roles, all of the paperwork and everything else, because they become the decision makers. We've also had a lot of people starting to come forward to create all the committees that we need. We've been calling for several months for people to volunteer, and all of a sudden they're all coming out of the woodwork. So something has changed, which is lovely. But the outcome of those committees has to go before what we're calling the all coordinator call and be given authority to proceed. So it's worked really well for us. We're getting a lot of increase in people's knowledge, but more importantly, lots of people who are now involved in that process. So hopefully that helps. I yield.
Thank
That's
you,
good,
Darren.
Darren.
This is, and I'm going to add a little to that perspective, because I don't know if I was telling the directorate or if I was telling Anna. My position in why I'm building the American Government's Resurgence Project like I'm building it is because I don't think that the International State Assembly can sustain itself as a government without outreach. You don't have enough people. You're going to be struggling to hold on to the same 30 people, overworking them, and the attrition won't be there. Like, how long it's been 5 years now? Do we expect the same people to stay there for 5 years while we're still working on this? So outreach is what's going to keep the people filling the assemblies and bringing in the talent that's required to actually run a government. So I think outreach is very it was missing. It's not enough focus on it. I know we have outreach committees on our state assemblies, but I just didn't see the outreach happening as a government, really. I mean, somebody was having, potlucks and things like that as the family outreach, yeah. But we have to start presenting ourselves as the government and spreading it out so people can see our faces in all of our communities, not behind the Zoom screen. So thanks for sharing what happened with you all there, Darren.
Yeah,
Linda?
and I like that perspective, Louise. And I know you and I have had some discussions, and I love being able to pick your brain on things and get your perspective on things. I had brought back what you shared with me, and I'll just share it with the group. Louise and I were discussing, some of the things that our outreach committee was talking about as far as rolling out the American Government Resurgence Project. And, I had shared with her, some of the places that we're looking to explore as far as holding our public meeting when we go into the county. And I did tell her that we had no problem. Our state assembly meets once a month at a restaurant in the middle of the state. So it's about an hour and a half drive, either if you're coming from the north or the south. And so I told her, we're probably going to be looking at those kinds of venues. And I gave her the reasons. And then she said, well, if you're going to have your public meeting in a restaurant, how serious do you think people are going to take you as a government? And I brought that back. I thought, oh, well, that's a really great point, And I brought it back to my outreach committee, and the guy that brought this up, he isn't on the call tonight, but it was really a great point of view too, which is why I love these think tanks, because we get to hear everybody's perspective. And his perspective was beautiful because he said, our founders met at pubs and they were organized in pubs. And so I thought, oh, you know what? And he goes, this is a grassroots effort. And he's like, so we are organizing in a restaurant. And he's like, and I don't see any difference with it. So, and I love hearing everybody's perspective. I think that it's important that everybody's point of view is shared and heard. And, I wasn't thinking, he's right, our founders met in pubs. And so, it was a really great perspective and allowed us to kind of brainstorm on different places and things of that nature. But that's how this should be happening, is sharing our ideas and not getting angry or thinking that my idea is better than your idea. It's just, hey, it's a different perspective, however way we're going to get there. Whatever works. And that's why it's great we get to come back here once a month and share what these outreach initiatives are going to be like. You know, we're trying to do ours in October, so we'll be able to come back in November and share with you all, you know, what that experience was like for us. And I'm looking forward to hearing everybody else's experience and what it was like to hold your first public meeting on one of your counties. And then as we go along, we'll just get better at what we're doing here. But I agree with what you said, Louise, that outreach is probably one of the most, if not the most important things that we need to be focusing on. Linda, you have your hand up. Go ahead.
Well, now I got multi things. But anyways, do you ever see their bar tab? Their tab? Our forefathers?
I can only imagine.
Oh, you should see it. My son had it for me. It was amazing. So yeah, that's a good point. It doesn't matter. And Anna said it doesn't matter where we assemble at. We can assemble in a park, she said, or anywhere. So, and then Darren, how many states do you have in Australia?
For our land and soil governance, we have one. We originally kicked off mirroring the legacy system. So we had 6 states plus Nova Zealandia or New Zealand.
Okay,
But,
because I don't really know how Australia works, if it's like, you know, the America states or not. And I didn't know how like the counties work, but I'll have to do some research on that because I'm kind of interested in that, just to know. And then I would like to point out something too, is I think we all fail to realize a few things. The de facto has 80 million statutes, codes, rules, regulations, and ordinances. And most of those are pushed through your cities, which are towns. And so it gets personable, right? It's personal. And then we pass laws. Our state passed these laws. Did we not? And we need to hold these people accountable for what they're doing because we don't stand under their laws. We stand on top of it. And with our new laws in place, they're supposed to cease and desist and stand down. And so, does anybody have any information on how to use those laws we passed to get rid of their 80 million statutes, codes, rules, regulations, and ordinances? Does anybody have any knowledge on what to do with that? With that, I yield. I mean, I respond back to them, but.
If I could take this question, and I'm sure Louise probably has something to add on anybody else, but I think that it's just a matter of the masses waking up and us, the ones that are awake, continue to do the work we're doing. You know, if we keep pressing and, you know, sending the notices and standing in our truth, all the while educating, I think education is probably one of the biggest weaknesses that we have, because like we all know, through the education system, people were indoctrinated to believe one thing was true when it really wasn't. And so trying to convince people of that has been the struggle. You know, as they say, it's easier to fool somebody than to convince them that they have been fooled. And this is the struggle that we face. And but nonetheless, you know, I've been citing case law. You know, I think it's Rodriguez verse, you know, I keep it in my notes. Anybody know which one I'm referring to? I'm gonna pull it up. Rodriguez versus Ray Donovan, U.S. Department of Labor, 769F2D13441348 from 1985, and it states, all codes, rules, and regulations are for government authorities only, not human/creators in accordance with God's laws. And then, and it says all codes, rules, and regulations are unconstitutional and lacking due process.
Yes, very
That's pretty,
true.
That's pretty clear. That's pretty clear cut, you know. So when you start citing all these case laws to people and you show it to them, you know, they could go look it up themselves. It's undeniable. That's the education that we need to be giving, you know, the public and, you know, law enforcement officers, you know, who are supposed to be enforcing law, but what they're enforcing is statutes and codes, and they don't even know it. You know, that's the sad part of it. Not many people know that. So it's up to us to get out there and educate.
I did have noticed them many, 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 many times. I even have the laws posted on my door, and all their statutes, codes, rules, regulations, and ordinance are really repugnant to the Constitution. And the problem is that they don't stand under the Constitution. They don't stand under anything but their corporate laws and legalese, I guess. So that's what a lot of the problem is. And if we as a state passes those laws, then who enacts those laws? Who stands? And that's one of the biggest things, I think, that a lot of the states are supposed to be doing this. Now, I noticed we have 83 counties on Michigan, and plus the association, which would make 84 sheriffs that I notified. And I notified them 3 times and sent them Anna's paperwork after I got out of jail. I figured, what the heck? I'm going to notice them all. So I did 3 times to each one of them. My return address was red, purple, and blue. That way I knew that they all got noticed 3 times. And it was just regular mail, cost me over $300, but it was well worth it. But I don't know if anything ever happened with all that. But I tried, that's all I can say. And tried to tell them, you know, our laws your legalese don't pertain to we the people. So I just was wondering, you know, how we could get by that. And, you know, I know there's a lot of statutes or case laws that cite all that too, but it goes over their heads anyways. You know how it is.
The way that I kind of see this playing out, because this has been kind of, you know, I think it's been a journey for all of us. You know, when I first learned that I had this newfound freedom and was like, wait, what? I don't need a driver's license. I don't need to pay for registration. I don't need to stand in line at the motor vehicle. I don't need to get an easy pass to go through the tolls. I said, well, okay, I'm getting some placards on my car and away I go. I had my travel kit in my car and I was ready to, you know, cite everything I needed to cite. And I thought, well, you know, I'm this, you know, little woman and I've got, you know, a mom. And if I get pulled over, what's the worst that's going to happen? They're going to give me a ticket, you know. So, uh, bam, reality slapped me in the face when that didn't happen the way I thought it was. And they stole my car and left me and my kids and my 2 dogs on the side of a road stranded. Um, that was my reality check that, wow, we're not in Kansas anymore, are we? And so I realized that, you know, it's not helpful anyway, in my experience. And again, I think all of our experiences are going to be different because every police officer or judge or whoever it is you're coming up against is different. You know, like Kimberly said in the beginning, you know, what she's dealing with is so different than, you know, like for instance, you know, my mail lady was very sweet when I told her that, you know, that I was a victim of identity theft. You know, she was like, "Oh, I don't want to do that." You know, so I think it all depends on your approach. And I think as we're going along in this process, um, we become more wiser to how we approach, and we have to really gauge who this person is. How do we think they're going to respond? You got to feel them out. And it really determines on who you're dealing with. And so, you know, it's not going to all be the same for everybody. And but what I did find is, and what I think is true for everything, is that if you're coming at it cool, calm, collected, and as a matter of factly, I think that you're going to have a better turnout than if you were coming at it as a combative, argumentative, place. And that's kind of the position that I took. I was like, what do you mean? Like, look at the laws, and that didn't get me anywhere, except my car stolen, and then I had to pay money to get it out, and then I had to put my tail between my legs and face a judge who, and I did the whole thing. Said everything I was supposed to say and all this other stuff. And, they didn't care at the end of the day because these people are criminals and they convinced the majority. So, that's the truth of the matter. And that's the struggle we're up against. And so I just say, you got to feel it out.
How were,
And,
how were
yeah.
you stuck on the side of the road? How come they didn't arrest you? Because you had your children?
Well, because I willingly gave up my car. They said if I willingly gave up my car, that they wouldn't pull me out of my car and put me on the ground and handcuff me.
Okay, so they still handcuffed me. But I'm gonna say something. When I was in jail and the last appearance or whatever that I had, I told the judge that your sergeant said I had the right to travel. I didn't need any of your stuff. And I asked him for his oath of office, his written oath of office, like Anna had told us. Ask for in their chambers, they have a written oath of office, handwritten, notarized, and placed on public record. And he did not have that on his person. He said, no, I raised my hand. I said, no, I want it in writing, your oath of office, and I want to see it notarized and it's placed on public record. He didn't have that. So that put him out because I asked him, are you a judge? And he told me, yes. Well, that puts him out of judge. He's not a judge. He's an administrator or hired jurist. So that put him out of his seat. And so he said to me, the only thing I can take away everything but the reinstatement. I didn't know what that was, And I found out that was a driver's license that I didn't have since 2021. And I wasn't going to, do that, right? So then I also say that I am the living white woman. And remember, their courts are for the dead. And so if it comes out of your mouth that you are the living white woman, whether what color you are, doesn't matter. You're supposed to say white. That puts you right out of their court. So that's food for thought for everyone, because we're all into this American thing, okay? And that's not really the top of the food chain, say. The top of it is those are all courts for the dead, and you are not a dead entity. You're a living living white woman or man, and that puts you right out of their court. They can't even talk to you once you admit that you're a living.
Linda, did your case get thrown out?
The one did with the judge. That was when I was locked up. The other three, I didn't know what they were doing. I'd never been arrested before like that. You know what I'm saying? So I really didn't know it all until I thought about it all. And that's why the last one was thrown out, because it was case number 4. And the other ones, I have no clue because I just walked out on them. I never finished with them. I just walked out of the room because it's air jurisdiction, right? It's a camera.
Well, and in an effort to try to keep the conversation really towards outreach, because I'm sure all of us have our stories about litigation and our experiences with dealing with de facto. But in light of keeping the conversation towards outreach, as far as enforcement goes, and Louise is saying she has to leave. I know she has another meeting to go to. Thank you, Louise.
Thank you, Louise. Well,
yeah.
that I was just saying for, as long as we focus on the living, because we're not dead in any way, shape, or form, I think that helps us all. And
Right.
I think you know, it might be a good idea to brainstorm that, and like even with Louise and stuff, you know, to brainstorm something about the living, you know, to get them out of the courts. And Anna always tells us to stay out of their courts, right?
Right. Yep.
So I just write that on the outside of my envelopes and I return it all. And it seems like so far, I don't like to, you know, say anything, right? Seems like they're standing down to a certain degree. And so with that, I yield. Thank you.
You're welcome. Kimberly.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I was just gonna let Linda know in her questions to Darren that Tammy actually has done a couple interviews, I believe, 2-part interviews with Darren and Terra Australis. So you could probably learn an awful lot from those interviews. So I would just let you know that there's some great information in those. I also wanted to ask Tammy, would you please mind putting that Law, the Rodriguez and Ray in either the chat, or if you would send it with the notes in the meeting, whichever's more convenient for you, that would be awesome. And then I'm going to have to come back to Darren. Hi, Darren. It's so great to hear your voice again. I have to admit to you that when you were saying how you went from being the 12 of you that you were to the transfer that you guys geniusly, in my opinion, had, I was so sort of stunned by it. I need it repeated. Is there any way that you could repeat how, what did you do again? Because I mean, I felt it so energetically that the transfer shifted so elegantly. I missed what you kind of did. So I'm sorry to be a little dingbatty on that, but sometimes you hear these really good things and you get it so strong in an emotional way that you miss the actual articulation of it. Would you mind repeating that, please?
Not at all. And lovely to be in the room with you also, Kimberly.
Thank you, love. Good to hear from you. Thank you.
I actually had in my notes for discussion today a fair bit of detail about what we've done here in terms of outreach. Really, it began when Mookie and I did what we termed the world tour about a year ago. So we actually travelled all across Terra Australis from north to south, east to west, and did over the course of 3 months, did a whole heap of presentations and meeting people and meeting with other like-minded groups and that kind of thing. And from that, we kick-started 32 or 33 local assemblies, so county assemblies. And you know, I'm very, very pleased that we took that approach early on here, focusing every time somebody came forward that we thought we might be able to talk into starting an assembly, we would do that. We now have 49, I think it is, county assemblies started. And so that's given us 49 coordinators plus a heap of co-coordinators, so support for them, plus a whole heap of people who are chairs for different committees and different action groups. So that's given us a brains trust of you know, just over 100 people now. And thankfully, we've sort of done a reasonable job of getting them all talking and communicating on a regular basis. So I hold a meeting every week with the Queensland crew and a few from New South Wales. And we just talk through and share ideas and have a laugh and whatever else. But I would normally have somewhere between 20 and 30 coordinators on there each week. And Ben does the same in Victoria, New South Wales a little bit behind. Western Australis does the same, that sort of thing. So we've got the communication happening. But the way we've structured it is that the coordinators on the National Assembly, so our state assembly, we're focused on getting the National Assembly up and running. But also our responsibility was to work with the coordinators in the state and try to continue to grow the county assemblies. I'll try and remember to use the terminology you're familiar with. So trying to grow them, help them to increase membership or participation and all that sort of stuff. So what we did a few weeks ago, maybe 6 weeks ago, is we decided that we needed to increase involvement. Oh, sorry, I'll take a step back. So because we've got all of these county assemblies up and running and been working with them on strategies to grow their participation, they've been very good at bringing new people in. I couldn't tell you the real numbers, but the people who have actually been through and done their paperwork would be maybe 15 or 20% of the people that are regularly coming to the meetings and learning and all that sort of thing. I see that the main Telegram channel in the last few weeks has jumped about 1,000 subscribers, which is really cool. So it's about a 25% increase. But anyway, yeah, we recognise that we need to increase the momentum of the State Assembly, and that we needed to get more people involved in the decision making and more learning, more education about what it's all about. So we had a couple of meetings with inviting all of the coordinators and the chairs to come along. And then after a couple of those meetings, we thought we're just going to hand over the reins. We're going to get them to drive it. So we got them to nominate someone to chair, someone to act as secretary for that meeting. And it's got a life of its own now. So now we're just sort of working with the different committees and things to make them aware that their decisions have to be validated by that group. So when they've got questions, when they need support, or when they've got a proposal, whether that's an office, they've designed an office charter, so they've decided whatever. Let's say sheriff, they define the sheriff for Terra Australis. They would have to present that to that team and get that team to vote and give authority to that document. And the beauty of that is then everybody's on the same page. Everybody's being taught on the way through how the assembly works and what the structure looks like and what the different offices are and all that sort of stuff. And then they take that back to their assemblies. So the communication is improving through this process. We're certainly not perfect, but the fact that we've now got a team of 100 people that's driving the state assembly and also taking all that information back is making a difference already. Hopefully that sort of makes it a bit clearer.
Yes, it's just brilliant. I think it's just been a lovely lovely report, and so glad to hear it's going so well. May I ask you a couple other questions that may seem a little bit silly, but I would just be curious how you've done it, because you've had such tremendous success. May I ask two more questions?
Please.
Thank you. The first one is, and it's sort of silly, but knowing that we're in such a time difference, do you all listen to Anna? Like, do you, I know that I've seen you on the state coordinator calls and so on. Do you get her articles, or how do you guys connect to Anna? I mean, is it just like us? You're going through, the channels that way, or how do you connect that way?
Good question. So, yes, there's quite a few of us here that get onto the weekly coordinator training with Anna.
Okay.
Lots and lots of people listen to her weekly, what is it, Monday night training for you guys, or Monday night?
Sure. Yes, with Terry.
Yes, we get all of her articles and they get posted on the Telegram groups. So a lot of that stuff does get shared around.
Okay. Thank you. I just didn't know how she, it's fun to learn how Anna's kind of getting out there. How is she getting out to the world? And so I didn't know how it was happening down there. So thank you for letting us know from that outreach perspective. How is she being distributed, as it were, in a good way?
Yeah, and there's one more little bit to that. So Mookie has been running an international group for about 3 years now and helping other international assemblies get kick-started. So we have a weekly meeting, had it this morning actually, with about 16 or 17 other nations.
Love it.
Which includes some wonderful nations, Germany, England, Ireland, South Africa, who are very prevalent everywhere at the moment. They're very active in this space.
Nice.
This morning we had for the first time, name escapes me. Yeah, we were joined by the coordinator on some obscure little nation. I can't remember what it was. My apologies.
No problem. I
Yeah,
know.
so that's growing. We've got a coordinator on Brazil now.
Awesome.
We've got it's phenomenal what's happening. And so we get to share and help each other in that process. And Anna has just started an international training as well, where the coordinators from all the international assemblies can come together and have her help us specific to our own nations. So
Beautiful.
she's phenomenal what she's doing.
May I chime in here? I just want to, I think, I'm getting, it's like there's so many platforms now, but I believe Neeti has put those podcasts
Yes.
the international call, with all the different countries. I believe it's up on her channel, the United States of America podcast. I think she has those as a playlist on
The
her.
replays?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, Tammy.
Sorry, I yield.
Thank you. Darren, thank you for a great answer there. And my next one is sort of just a raw kick down the door. You said you got started, you got in the car, you went north, you went south, you went east, you went west. All right.
Yep.
You kicked down the door. And for those of that are trying to get that first step, that first start, what'd you do? Did you call ahead? Did you know where you're going? Did you camp somewhere? What did you do? Did you just show up at a restaurant and start talking, or was it pre-planned? How did you kick the door down and just start? So for all of us that are looking to figure out how to just start, any advice?
It was very haphazard. So our original plan was to do a loop all the way around the country. And because it was a little bit of perhaps fear, but the idea being, if we pre-advertise all of this stuff, we might be putting ourselves in the firing line. It was early days. Excuse me.
I'll be there in 2 minutes. Pick you up. Ready.
So we jumped in the auto and took off, and we had the first meeting organised in a town probably 4.5 hours from here, and we teed up to stay at one of the coordinators' places there, and it was sort of a leapfrog from there. So as people got wind of the fact that we were travelling, they'd organise a rush meeting, and we'd turn up. Spent the whole time staying in people's rooms and carports and all this kind of thing. Just beautiful souls putting us up.
Nice.
But by the time we'd gotten through the first state, being New South Wales, I think we did half a dozen presentations. We'd already had that many requests to come back that we decided we'd go across to Perth and then travel back, work our way back, and we did a whole heap of extra presentations on the way back, and it was a bit more organized.
Wonderful.
So yeah, I'd suggest if you've got state nationals out there or people that are sort of keeping an eye on the state, what's happening, it won't be hard to get support to help that. We're very, very fortunate here. Mookie's been at this for a long time, and he's got enormous amounts of knowledge.
Right.
I'll share a link in the chat to one of the presentations that he did while we were traveling in a small town. And if you have a listen to that, the information he brings forward is phenomenal. So
excellent.
Thank you. Wasn't hard. Yeah.
Do you guys mind if I chime in again? I'm sorry, I don't mean to,
I'm all set, and I just figured that from an outreach perspective that they knew something, and I figured if maybe we could tap that and have others. So I can yield the floor to this. Darren, thank you for all of the reporting. I'm so glad you've had such great successes, and I yield.
All I want to add to that conversation is Darren and Mookie and their assembly has done something that I think is what, in light of what Louise is trying to bring to our outreach efforts with the county tours, is that when you go face to face with people and you're meeting them and you get to shake their hands and speak to them one-on-one, it's a completely different energy than when you're doing something on a Zoom. And so for us on New Jersey, in our state is small in comparison to other states. But we do have, it's about a 4-hour drive from top to bottom. And for some of us, like some of the people tonight that are on the call, Kathy, Alice, and Patisa, they're on my assembly. And when we do outreach, we usually keep it closer to home, you know. And so if we could reach out to all of the state nationals on the counties and invite them to, host a public meeting for us and let us introduce our state assembly to their county, well, then we start getting them engaged. Because right now we have a lot of state nationals, I'm sure like all of you, and this was, the point that Louise was trying to bring home is that we can't keep expecting the same small group of people to do all the work because, some of us are getting burnt out. And so how do we reach the people on the county levels, that are within our state, and get them engaged and get them interested and doing something for their government. And so I think that the way that this is structured, I think is a really great, it's a brilliant way to kind of bring it, kind of what Darren and Mookie have done, in their traveling and meeting the people face to face. I think that that's what's going to make all the difference in our outreach efforts. And I'm really excited to get it rolled out and start seeing what the effects of that are going to be for our state and for others to hear everybody else's as well. Annette, you're up, and then Rick.
Thank you. And I want to agree with Kimberly and yourself with the inspirational message that Darren just gave us and Mookie. Absolutely incredible. Well done that you guys figured out a way around the roadblocks. I'm so happy that you shared that with us, and thank you so much. I want to ask a couple of things. Well, I want to say one thing. I took Anna's advice and I took on JP Morgan Chase on a credit card scam deal that they wanted me to pay 23,000 and I hadn't spent a cent. It was somebody else with the same name, but I did it Zoom and I had the judge flee the bench twice. So it is a big difference if you do Zoom because they don't have the power to throw the cuffs on you. They don't have their little, their bookie guys there to scare the heck out of you. You're the one leading it, and I was very blunt. Told her to sit down, to listen to me. That she is just merely a banker. She's just like working at the Walmart, and she was appalled. Had enough of the conversation, threw her gavel, didn't even slam it down, just threw it and walked out and said she wasn't going to be talked to like that. And I didn't get any, there was no negatives. I was twice I ended up that she walked out. So, it was a good experience for me. But then if you hear like Eugene Pang, who went into the court, his outcome is not near as bold and beautiful. So everybody needs to also give incredible thoughts for him, and let's hope we can get him out because he has helped hundreds of probably thousands of people and doesn't deserve to be beat up on. So I wanted to say that. Thank you. I have one question and it's weird, but it's a little bit off subject. Anna had told us not to use the word rent, and I have I'm asking all of you if anybody can remember for if you rent homes what we're supposed to use instead of the word rent.
That's interesting.
Lease. Louise?
Yep, she said not to use the word lease. And I went through every document I can find. I put it into her search bar.
Well, here's the thing. I think that if you are indeed a renter and you don't own the property and you actually are renting it, then I think it's safe to say that you're a renter. But
Yeah,
if
but
you
I'm
own,
renting it. I own it and I'm renting these
yeah,
homes.
you have to have an agreement, right? It's not a contract. It's an agreement that you hold with them.
Okay.
You are the owner, like you're not the tenant, you're not the renter, you're not the resident. Those are words that you don't want to use when you are actually the owner of the property. But I think if somebody is renting from you, then they technically are a renter.
Okay, I'm just trying to protect myself because I did as she told me to do and got rid of all of the uh, corporations that I had protecting me on properties. And so I'm just doing it as the little old person, and they chase me saying I owe them
Yeah, well,
commercial taxes.
I think in your contract with your renters, right? Or your agreement rather, your agreement with your renters is when you would name yourself as the owner and
Okay.
they would be the renter. Um, I could be wrong, but that just seems to make common sense to me.
Okay. I greatly thank you. If anybody thinks about it, throw me an email because I know she was telling us something, and let's face it, she tells us so much stuff that it is hard to keep track of everything. Thank you so much again, and I'm sorry to take up the time on that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And
I
you're
yield.
welcome. Darren has in the chat, he says you want a good faith agreement with an agreed exchange. So, okay,
Thank
Rick,
you.
go ahead. You're welcome.
Hi, thanks. I'm
Hey,
Rick.
good to see you.
You hear me okay?
You look quite different. You have a beard. I didn't see you with a beard last time.
I shaved it for your thing, and then I decided to grow it back, and now I have a stylist. I'm having fun.
That's great. That's great. And I'm not against beards, My husband
I'm
had one, so.
I'm learning that, so it's kind of fun. So yeah, this has been very interesting. My first time here. I'm on Michigan with Kimberly and Linda and the other Linda, and just had some thoughts. I really appreciate what's going on in Australia, Terra Australis. Um, Knew a few people there, and we speak the same language mostly, and but the cultures are a little different. One of the things I recall from some of my friends was they came and visited us, and I think that's a cultural thing. So the going around kind of thing and staying at people's places and stuff, I think is something that people in that part of the world are very comfortable with, and all the more power to them. And I congratulate Darren and his colleagues for what they're able to do. And I've been thinking for quite some time that some kind of a road show is the way to do things. And I think doing it without fanfare, without pre-announcement, without making preparations, if you've got a network of people that you can go and link up with and have them kind of prepare the grounds, that'd be good too. But I think it's that kind of strategy that's going to actually make progress. If we try to do things, at one point I was interested in filmmaking and that type of thing, and I've learned some of the techniques and stuff, but that's what the corporations do to brainwash people, and we're not going to be successful at that. So but I liked what I heard there. I've also kind of had the attitude, I didn't want to, I'm not somebody, I don't have a complicated life. I didn't want to get involved in what I've termed poking the bear. And I think poking the bear is counterproductive in a lot of ways. One of them is it scares a lot of people off. And I think that's been a strategy that the opposition has used kind of under the table to bait people into poking the bear to scare a lot of people off. So what my strategy has been is to get to know people. I go regularly to certain group gatherings that I'm friends with. I've developed relationships. I have brought this up. I had my flag flying. The main thing I've done is that the flag that's behind me is one that got worn out in front of my house. So now it hangs in the back behind me when I'm on one of these calls. I go to a breakfast on Saturdays quite often in the neighborhood. And eventually one of the more observant ladies asked me, "What's that flag?" Because most people don't see the difference in the pattern, but she did. And I said, "That's the peace flag." And that ended up in being quite the conversation, which a lot of those people had never heard any of this stuff. And I ended up not going back for a few weeks because I didn't want to disrupt things. But I eventually did. And it's kind of like, and there's other neighbors, they all know that I've got the peace flag. And they continue to live their lives because everything is hunky-dory. But they know me, and they also know that I have knowledge about some things that, okay, maybe they don't understand me, but they've come to accept the fact that I do know some things about this stuff, and they respect me in terms of knowledge on lots of things. So they know they can come to me. I'm waiting for things to happen where they need to make a choice. They need to make a change. And I think that kind of day is coming. It's closer and closer. And that's why what I do is I prepare for that in terms of putting their assemblies together. And I'm not an outreach recruiting kind of guy. That's not me, but I understand it needs to be done. But I think the strategy of doing something where we can go on the road, a small handful of people meeting up with others to get people together. I really like the sounds of that. I think when I hear that you got 100 people involved in this, we're very sparse on Michigan. We've been able to get together a few times, but I'd like to start my county. The people I'm talking to and that I'm rubbing shoulders with all the time, they are, in my mind, they are the future Midland County Assembly. And there's a bunch of smart people in there that once they wake up and realize I've got the solution, we're going to be in business. So I'm waiting for that day. But so it's exciting. I really like the roadshow thing. So Darren, thanks for sharing that, and that was encouraging. So I yield. Thanks.
No worries, Rick. Thanks for the kind words.
Hmm.
From my perspective, and it's shared with the other coordinators, is the most important thing we can do is get people together in a room. You don't get to feel the energy. You don't get to feel the true intent of the people that you're dealing with when you're on a Zoom or a WebEx, especially when camera's off. And I'll leave my camera off because I've got terrible internet. The other thing with getting participation on the assemblies is that we're at this point where there's nothing we can do to wake up those that aren't awake already. And what we need is people who are ready to take the right action. So I'm imagining it to be the same there. People are in groups already, and those groups are leading them down a path which might deliver a win here and there for one man or woman who's had an unwanted interaction with a policy enforcer, but it's not the solution for everybody. And what we're bringing forward is the solution for everybody. We have a challenge because we're asking people to do something. You need to go away and learn. You're not going to get involved in your assembly until you have exhausted the other options. And I did this myself, when I woke up with 2020 and what happened there. I'd always sort of known something was wrong, but never took the time to go and investigate and learn what it was. I first came across, back then it was called CASA, so Commonwealth of Australia State Assemblies. And I read all up on it, and I saw the paperwork, and I thought, this is absolutely wonderful. It's what I've got to do. And that was in 2021. And then I got distracted. I must have had an unwanted interaction I had to go and deal with. So I went and learned all about statutes, and I thought, oh, I'm invincible now. I know all about their system. But of course, they keep changing their system. Next time I bumped into this group, it was then called TASA. They'd recognised the fraud in the Constitution and the fact that it had always been corporate and whatever else. So I did exactly the same thing. I thought 100% this is what I've got to do. And then I got distracted and learned all about common law or learned all about the Constitution, whatever I did. And it was 2023 when I bumped into it again, and I thought, yeah, 100% this is where I'm at. But I think everybody's got to go through that journey. You know, nobody leaps into the assemblies until they've exhausted those other options and they know the true extent of the fraud, and the true power of us in our proper standing assembling. Because the assemblies is where it's the only place, and this is the message I'm promoting here at the moment, it's the only place, the only way to express the collective will of the people. And when we have our full governance structure standing, is it seated?
We know what you're saying.
But the full governance structure has to be the International Land Jurisdiction Assembly and the Soil Jurisdiction Assemblies, because it's the soil jurisdictions is where that collective will of the people is expressed. And then it's given to the International Land Jurisdiction Assembly to go and implement with the corporations who are working for us or supposed to be working for us. So that was the question before, how do we enforce the laws? Well, we've got to have our complete governance structure up and running. Doesn't mean all the counties have to be populated, but some have to be, so that we've got the soil covered and the land covered. But it's the soil jurisdiction assemblies is where we get people together in a room, and we should be focusing on those that are already awake, that are almost ready to come into the assemblies now. So when you do your tour, your state nationals in the counties are going to be members of these other groups. So they can organise it and bring people who are already awake. And we had our biggest meeting was in Melbourne. We had 150 or 160 people at the meeting. But we did presentations to groups of 7 and 8 people as well. Yep. But we obviously got the right people, because we've now got assemblies forming in those locations. So that was the key.
That's really inspiring. That's really great to hear. I'm hoping that we have, the same, reaction, and when we start doing our tours. It's funny talking about your journey and how you got there. I can remember being a part of some patriot groups when all this was going on, and I remember thinking, why are we going and begging for our freedom? Didn't we already win our freedom? Yeah. We had a revolutionary war. I thought we already won this battle here. Why are we begging legislatures? Shouldn't we just be telling them, hey, I got freedom here, buddy? Like, go take a hike somewhere. I knew I had that spirit. And still even today, Anna says, U.S. citizens are the ones that picket and protest, right? We don't have to protest because we're the employers. We're supposed to be telling our employees what to do, but we've been missing in action.
There's two dictionaries. There's the one that you learned to use at school, and there's the one that they use. So you look in a legal dictionary. In a legal dictionary, which is what they refer to petition, to protest, and to apply are all tantamount to begging.
Yes, exactly. And that's what I said. Why are we begging for freedom here? We already won it. Like, I don't understand, guys. Let's just tell these people, where they can go.
And they slapped you, same as they did me.
Yeah. And they're still protesting. That's the
Yeah.
funny thing is that I just say, I think one of the first presentations that I ever did, I used a hamster running around in a wheel. And I
Yeah.
said, you could stop doing that now. Because all
Yeah.
this protesting and, begging your legislatures for your freedoms that you already have, that's what you're doing when you protest. You're just running in a hamster wheel.
And you're admitting they have authority.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
you're giving away your power.
we've been doing a lot of work in the last few months on the unity of the different groups, because what we're doing is very against the approach of all these other groups. We've got all these groups running around flying the blue flag, which is the blue war flag, corporate war flag, calling themselves Australians. And when you know where Australia is, you can see the fraud in what's going on. And we're telling them that, and they don't like it because they're very patriotic, of course.
Yes, it's so funny, Darren, that you've got the same crap going on your country as in our country, and they're two different countries. You have a different history than we do, and I find it so very interesting. I mean, not surprising, right? When you find out the brainwashing and the indoctrination has all been the same, across the board, which is why, everybody, is so patriotic and flying that wartime flag that you can't tell them anything different, because they're free Americans, by the way, and here on our country, we're free because of the brave. and I look at them and I'm like, I don't see any bravery going on.
I get people here all the time saying, we're kind of buggered because they took our guns off us. I said, well, I think there's 9 guns per man, woman, and child on America, and I haven't seen any of them being used yet.
Exactly. Exactly.
Lay down and let them steamroll you.
They just like to talk about them and that they have them.
Yeah.
But in light of time, because we're looking at 10 to 10, I'm going to let Kimberly and then Linda go. And then Darren, I know you said you wanted to share something about IT. Maybe you can, if you have something and you want to send it to me, you can, and I can share it out with the group in a, when I send the playback, the link for the playback, if you want to share that. Otherwise, we could also save it for next meeting. Okay. Kimberly. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Are you?
Okay. Kimberly, go ahead.
Thank you, Darren. I can yield if it's important. I certainly was just going to be actually a quick call, being that we're on a national call here, and sort of on the principle, if you don't ask, you can't receive. I'm going to just throw it out to the ASNs across the whole broadcast or the hearing audience here, that I think if we have men and women that our camera crews and our journalists, those are also men and women that we really need. So if you are out there and you are interested in any of these, please, 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 would you come to outreach and let us know that you might be interested in working with us? I think that we may have an avenue, and I'm putting this out as sort of the second thing, public service announcements. They have to have some kind of loopholes in the airways and in media and broadcasting somewhere in their rules. And I don't know, I'm just throwing it out for men and women who like to look for those kind of things, that if they're men and women that would like to look down some rabbit holes on that and see if there's anything that we can start to figure out, how can we actually get, access to and foothold into the market and the airwaves. Maybe it's not a great idea, but if we don't look and see if we can actually do that, some of these people might need to hear coming through the big black box. So I want to go ahead and just see, if there's any way to penetrate this, or if not. So I'm just sort of putting the challenge out to all men and women, since this will be going far and wide, that we could really use folks who can do things that are video wise, and there are definitely a lot of things, I think, projects that service is going to become much more important to outreach. So if we want to start to get some of those things going, I think that would be good. And lastly, billboards. If anybody knows anything about billboards and has got connections, let's start to bring some of that to the table and see what we can do to start to put messages up that way. So just a couple outreach things that I just thank you for letting me have the time to put a call out and say, please come to the national outreach here or get a hold of outreach, and let's see if we can't start to put some of these things together in these other platforms as well. So thank you for hosting us as always, Tammy. Love you all, and I yield.
Thank you, Kimberly. I will say, I think that in phase 4 and 5 of the American Government Resurgence Project, Louise had actually mentioned something about getting a TV channel, right, on our smart TVs, because I know of, we subscribe to a couple of different channels, and maybe it's like $5 a month or something like that. And I think the goal was to get something like that people could subscribe to. Maybe we would make it $1 a month, and that all of our news would be up there. But you're right, we do need reporters and journalists. And I personally would love to see somebody interviewing and reporting, like, for instance, what's happening to you. And I think Linda said that she had, something, some, when she got arrested. I mean, all these different things, because Americans are clueless as far as what's happening, because this is how bullies work, right? They do it when nobody's watching.
Yeah. One of the things that PKTF has offered us that I just have been consumed and haven't really been able to get to, but they're actually offering a syndication way that for men and women that are journalists or writers, you don't even have to have done this before, if you want to give a whirl to it. But they're offering the Substack, I believe it's Substacks. I'm talking a little bit naively, so if I am messing it up, somebody else please correct me, or we can get this clarified by the PKTF. But Joe had encouraged me, even write your stuff and let's get it published so people can see what's happening. So they have a whole build out through the PKTF website that I just haven't been able to focus on, that's giving all of us. So if there's anyone listening to this now that you're interested in putting something together and starting to report at your local level, they're calling for us to do this. And not only are they calling for us, normally you have to buy these subscriptions to get into these. I think they're trying to get this off the ground, and they're offering men and women who are volunteering now these at no cost to my comprehension. So if I'm wrong, I apologize, but I think that's what I'm comprehending with this is they're starting to try and build that out now. So putting the call out, if you're interested in being a reporter, if you're interested in being a camera person, if you're interested in, writing, these are avenues that they're ripe. They are peaking right now. So, please get a hold of PKTF. Please get a hold of, outreach with Tammy and so forth. And, these are things that are coming, and, they're going to be jobs of our future. So if you're looking for something else, this may be an avenue to start to look. So thanks for letting me put that out and letting men and women know that, these things they're coming probably sooner than we realize. And so we should start to put eyes on it, and start having people start seed thoughts on these. So there's some seeds. All right, I'm out. Thank you. Peace.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that to our attention. And I just want to say too is that the PKTF is kind of putting that out there for us, and we should utilize it, because there might be some people on different counties or different states that have their own thing going on, and that's all fine and good for their own little area of like the whole America, right? But when you start compiling things that are happening on all different states, and you have one place where people can go and get that information, and we're seeing all these different things happening, and we could share that out for other people, whether they're U.S. citizens or American state nationals, they can see the criminality that's happening across everywhere, because you have false sense of beliefs, right? Where people are like, oh, I'm going to move to Florida because that's a red state, or oh, I'm going to move to Texas because they're more free there, and you've got all this, indoctrination of beliefs And the fact of the matter is that it's all the same across the board. You know, there's this illusion that one state is more freer than the other. It's a bunch of horse manure. So when we can start showing, you know, like Eugene, what happened to Eugene, and he's on Pennsylvania, you know, so we have to compile this information and get it out to the people so they can see for themselves what's happening. Everybody's so focused on the border crisis and Israel and all these other things that they have us focused on the news that they're not even paying attention to the small little crimes that are happening to everyday people. Everyday people. So, so I agree. I think I would love to see people who have the talent to write, somebody who's talented with a camera, and somebody who wouldn't mind, you know, being the journalist and doing the interview. So, Linda, go ahead.
I just have a couple quick things to say. What really threw me into Anna was when I read the little tiny weeny book, Sumerian Swindle. That tells you right there. The name stealing has been going on for centuries. So that's a little really nice book to read, and you can get it online where it reads to you, which is great for me. And the other thing is I found out that everything you send to the news, the newspaper, anywhere, they have to keep that. They might not use it, but it has to be kept on their files. So just so everybody knows that. And then Anna said that everybody has a peace flag, Darren. So I don't know how you find your peace flag. And then when you were speaking, Tammy, about the national who was going in front of the police department or whatever they were doing, was that an actual member of the assembly? Oh, it was. Oh, okay. I didn't know if it was a American State National or if it was a
Supposedly,
standing member.
supposedly, we can't seem to find their documents, but supposedly.
Oh, okay. So that makes a difference for my understanding is that if they're a member of the assembly and they do something like that, it's not really good. So with
Right.
that, I yield and thank you so much for everything you do.
Thank you. Thank you to you too. Darren, do you think you could sum up what you wanted to present to us about IT in like 3 minutes, or should we push it off for next time? Or can you share it in an email?
I'm just doing up an email now, but very quickly, the apps that he's offering contain or handle things like content management, asset management, accounting, shopfront, customer relations, human resources, payroll, help desk, scheduling, photo gallery, inventory management, marketing, document management, credit cards, forecasting, real estate management, and quotes. So very, very detailed. He's had an IT business that created apps and websites and, or not so much websites, but all of the back end IT stuff for government and for major industries. So this stuff's all scalable and looks very comprehensive. And he's offering it to the assemblies worldwide. I won't give you his contact details. We'll sort of manage that carefully, but he's a state national and one of the coordinators creating one of our county assemblies. So.
On Terra Australis?
Yes.
Okay, beautiful.
So,
awesome. Thank you. So if you could share that with me, whatever you want to share, I'll send it with the playback. And that way, and if anybody's interested in learning more, you could contact Darren. Darren, do you want me to share your email address?
Yep, that'd be okay, for sure.
That would be okay. Okay, beautiful. All right. Okay, guys. Well, look, I have us on, reconvening back on Wednesday, September 10th, 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. So mark your calendars. And until then, have a beautiful month. I'm sure I'll see your beautiful faces on other meetings. So sending love out to you guys and, keep on keeping.
Thank you, Tammy.
Appreciation and love right back to all you and all of you that are bringing what it takes to this fight. I thank you all.
Thank you all.
Much
Thank
love,
you,
everyone.
Tammy.
Everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you
Good
for
night.
sharing, Darren. That was awesome.
Good morning.